Hey Thrivers, you're listening to Season 2, Episode 20. Today, Christine is sharing with us her birth story and how Dorothie McKoy came into this world.
We'll also be chatting about what life is like as a new family of 4 and how I'm handling the transition as Nora adjusts to being a big sister and we all find our new normal.
Stay tuned for an episode we've been so excited to share with you. And the babies too. Dorothie is here and we cannot wait to talk about her.
Welcome to The Thrive, a podcast for working moms. This is for all the women and moms listening. If you work from home, in an office, run your own business, or are the CEO of your family, this podcast is for you. Because at the end of the day, all moms are working moms. Rachel and Christine invite you to celebrate the victories, get advice, listen to their mom fails, and to know you aren't alone, to thrive in your everyday life.
Hey Thrivers, this is Rachel.
And Christine.
I am so excited. Today we are going to be talking to Christine all about her birth story.
I'm the guest. And we are joined by 2 really cute babies here. I was going to say in the studio, in my living room. We have Dorothie and Robbie here, and they're going to be so well behaved while we chat.
Yes. One is already sleeping. The other is working on getting there. Does she
tired.
need a blanket? Does she sleep better when she's swaddled up?
Well, at night, we just put her in pajamas and lay her in.
Oh.
Yeah. So sometimes I think she gets hot. I don't know. My husband puts a blanket on her every night, and then I've asked him a few times, does she feel cold? Is that why? Because I always think she gets warm.
Aww.
So I'm not sure.
Well, sweet Dorothie is 6 weeks now?
She is on Saturday. Yeah. Time
flies.
flies.
It really does. And honestly, at this point, it's so funny because they're just about the same size.
Oh, I know. I mean, Dorothie will soon surpass Robbie, I'm sure.
But that's because your babies are so cute and chubby, and all of mine are long and skinny, which is funny because my husband and I are not tall. But somehow our children are always off the charts for their height and length. And anyway, they're just going to plateau at the 7th grade and stay the same size.
Maybe they'll keep growing.
Maybe.
They're tall genes way back in your future, or your past. But yeah, I am excited to share Dorothie's birth story. This is good too because then I'll have it on record here for when she gets older. Because I always think I need to
Oh my gosh, we should make them listen.
Yeah. Back when your mommies talked about you all the time when you were babes. Yeah. So it is now the middle of June. So she was due. Oh my goodness, when was she due?
The 10th, wasn't it May 10th?
Yes, thank you. Oh my goodness, I just couldn't remember her birthday.
It's
that was
okay.
a total mom
Kyle
part.
actually had to take Rowan to the doctor last week and gave them the wrong birthday. And so somebody called me because they were trying to bill our insurance and they're like, did he mean this day? And I'm like, yes, he did.
Well, yeah. So I'm glad you're here because I literally could not remember her birthday. But she was due May 10th, about a week after I finished work. I wasn't sure how late I was going to work, but I just decided to stop a little bit early just so I could get myself finished at school and get ready at home. But that was a really weird week leading up to my due date because Nora was in daycare and I was just trying to get odds and ends done at home. But it's just a weird time waiting for your due date.
It is. Because it's unsure. You don't know what exactly is going to happen.
And I feel at that same time I was watching a few mom friends of mine on Instagram who they were also waiting to have their babies. And it's just, this weird period in life. So I tried to enjoy myself. I got a pedicure, which was enjoyable, but also really awkward because, when you're about ready to have your baby, nothing feels easy or comfortable. So
what's funny is I've heard mixed things on that too. I always loved getting pedicures when I was pregnant. I always felt like it was such it just felt nice on my legs because you're sore. Sometimes you're puffy. And I had somebody else tell me I thought you weren't supposed to do that. It could induce labor.
Well, that would have been an okay thing.
I guess towards the end, you're probably well, what doesn't matter? But anyway, if an expert wants to chime in, I always thought that a massage was good for you.
Well, it is, but then I just felt I couldn't get in the chair. And then, it was just awkward. She was trying to clean out the basin where my feet were. And so she was having me lift my legs up. And I just could not do that. I couldn't hold my leg up for more than about 3 seconds.
Come on, woman. So, don't you remember what it was like to be pregnant?
Yeah. It was fun. So anyway, I was due on a Friday and Thursday afternoon, the day before was when I started to kind of feel contractions that felt different than the Braxton Hicks that I had been having. So, of course, called my husband every 20 minutes at work, which freaked him out because he was thinking it was going to be the call. But I just needed to tell him how everything was going. So he came home from work. Nora came home from daycare on Thursday afternoon, still having contractions, and they were becoming more consistent. So probably around like 6 p.m., I called my mom or FaceTimed her because our plan was for them to come out to stay with Nora whenever we went into the hospital. So I just called my mom to say, hey, it's kind of starting to happen. And my mom, just watching me over FaceTime, was like, oh yeah, I think this baby is coming. So she went and told my dad that they were going to come out that night. They were already packed. They drove out from New Jersey. And I think that was probably the quickest they've ever come, arrive. Usually they take a stop, go geocaching.
Yes, but your mom. I love your mom and all her hobbies.
But they were here in exactly the amount of time it should take to get from New Jersey to Lancaster. So we just kind of relaxed that evening. My contractions kept happening. And then Thursday night, the whole night, I was just contracting. Like, I don't think I slept for more than maybe 45 minutes. It was rough. At one point, I came downstairs in the living room and tried to watch TV. I probably had a snack, but they were quite uncomfortable. And I did not realize this at the time, but my husband was awake probably the whole time too, because he just heard me wrestling and knew that I was uncomfortable. So then I felt bad that he wasn't getting sleep either. But yeah, that was a rough night. And in the morning, he was supposed to go to work, but I told him, I think I need you to stay home with me. So he took Nora to daycare. And I remember him making breakfast, and he brought the plate of, I don't know, it was eggs and bacon or something over to me. And I literally put my hand up, my finger up to wait a second, close my eyes. And he just stood there with the breakfast, what do I do? And then after the contraction stopped, I was like, okay, thank you. I can eat now. And that's pretty much how the whole day went. I would say in labor the whole day. And I had called the hospital, but they said because my contractions weren't close enough, they didn't want me to come in. We tried to go for a walk, had a spicy chicken sandwich from Chick-fil-A, just really tried.
I love that we both had
everything. Yes. It's pretty much our go-to. And yeah, I tried to rest, but I couldn't because I kept having contractions. And having not slept at all the night before, I was just not feeling well at all. And probably around 4:30 that afternoon, I think Robert was on his way to get Nora from daycare. I called the hospital again because I realized with Nora, my contractions never got close together. And so I was thinking with the second baby, what if they never got close together? And I kind of had a panic. That's what the hospital tells you to wait for, but it never happened with my first baby. So what if it never happened this time? So when I called the doctors and told them that, they said I could come in. They had a triage at May Grant, so I didn't have to have an appointment or anything. And
That's nice.
Because I, at that point, was there's no way I can go through another night like this. I don't, you did not have this with Robbie, the whole waiting game.
My water broke and nothing happened. So.
Well, and that was Nora. So this is the complete opposite. With Nora, I didn't even have contractions when I was in the hospital. I had been having contractions for over 24 hours at this point. Which not fun at all.
No.
So we packed the car. My parents were here. We said goodbye to Nora, got in the car. And this was weird because I didn't know if I was going to be admitted into the hospital, but we were in the car and it was a very...
But you brought all the things, right?
We did, but it was stressful because I didn't know what was going to happen. And I was afraid that I wasn't going to be dilated enough. I was afraid they were going to send me back home. And I was not in a good place. So when we got to the May Grant, they checked me. I was only 3 centimeters dilated. And when she told me that they couldn't admit you at that stage, I started crying. But the doctor who checked me, she was so lovely, told us to go to Park City Mall, walk around for an hour, and come back.
So if you're not from the area, the fantastic thing about May Grant is connected to Women and Babies, which is the hospital here that I shouldn't say most, but many people have their babies at. It's part of the main hospital here in Lancaster. And Park City is this huge shopping center that's literally minutes from Women and Babies. If you're one of our local listeners, we invite you to join us next month at Bell & Berry Summer Home and Style Market. It's happening Friday, July 19th from 6 to 8 p.m. and Saturday, July 20th from 9 to 3 at the Lampeter Cafe. The market is organized by our very own Christine and her event planning business, so I know it's going to include an awesome lineup of vendors. With the home and style theme, some of the items you'll find at the summer market include boutique clothing and accessories, jewelry, makeup and skincare products, along with fresh cut flowers from a local florist, so you can grab some to treat yourself or pick up a small bouquet for your mom. Grab lunch or dinner at the cafe and browse through the amazing products and services the vendors will have showcased in the livery. It's sure to be a fun few days of shopping. We will be there, probably spending too much money, and we can't wait to see you too. We look forward to July 19th and 20th at the Lampeter Cafe, Bell & Berry's Home and Style Market.
I wonder how many moms they send over there.
I feel like a lot of people probably go through the same thing. Like, just go walk the mall for a little bit.
Yeah, which was, okay, good advice. They weren't sending me home. So this was about 6 p.m. Friday, May 10th, my due date. So I was walking around the hospital, the mall. I even did the stairs a few times up and down. And at one point, this woman came over to me and told Robert he should take me to the hospital because it looked like I was having a baby. And we were like, well, actually, that's the goal here, but I'm not allowed to be at the hospital yet. So we did our thing in the mall, walked around, went back to the doctors. They checked me and she said I was like 4 centimeters and she could take me over to the hospital. So then I cried tears of relief because I knew it was going to happen.
And I can't believe that in just a short period of time. I mean, I guess for a lot of people, things go quickly.
I actually am not sure if she was being honest. I think maybe.
Really?
I don't know. I think she saw the peril in my face and maybe I was like close enough that.
Okay. But some people, it's like, you know, they say how they go into labor and then like they get to the hospital and they're like ready to have the baby. So they must have dilated real fast. But for those of us that are slow, I'm like, wow, that's great. You just went and walked around and you were like made the progress you needed.
Well, I had walked around my block like the whole day. So that's why I'm like, are you really? But whatever. It was a godsend. So that woman walked us into the hospital because the doctor's office and the hospital are connected. And we got checked in, went to a room, got settled, and they were actually really full that evening. We were in a delivery room that they're not usually in. Like it's over by the nurses' station. So even some of the nurses that kept coming in to check on me were like, oh, I didn't know they were using this room. Like it was just an extra. But I know they were busy because actually a friend of Rachel and ours was in the hospital that night.
Yes, with twins.
Yes. So she had her twins that night, May 10th. So I know they were busy. There were mamas there. And so when we were in the hospital, I probably got an epidural after a few hours, which was awful and wonderful at the same time. It was probably 10:30 p.m. that I got my epidural.
Okay.
And so this was still my due date, which I was hoping for because I thought that would be really cool. But I was actually born an hour and a half after my due date. And my mom has told me this many times. So I was kind of thinking like, oh, she's probably not going to come until the next day. But that would have been cool. So I had my epidural, which you had as well, right, Rachel? I know.
Yes.
Yours didn't
Mine
work.
was terrible. Did yours go in right away?
It did, but I knew yours didn't work so well, so that added to like my fear and hesitation.
I think if I had another kid, I would honestly just skip it. It was so bad.
Well, they're both pretty bad. I mean, labor is no fun. That's why they call it labor.
At all.
But while it was happening, Robert was a great coach, and he held my hand and played from Sister Act 2, Oh Happy Day, the song.
Yes, that's awesome.
I know you said when yours was going in, you had like a worship song playing.
Yes.
I needed Sister Act 2.
I had to pray through it. Maybe next time I need something more lighthearted.
It's really rough, but I knew that it was going to help in the end. And so I was just waiting for that relief, which it's the weirdest feeling to have an epidural because they kept trying to move me. I was absolutely useless because I couldn't move my legs, but I could feel them. So it was a very helpless feeling. But at that time, my mom actually came from my house. She stopped by at the hospital, and she ended up staying until Dorothie was born, which I don't know if Robert and I had necessarily talked about that previously. She was in the room when Nora was born, and it just worked out that way because Robert fell asleep soon after my epidural. He needed a rest.
Yeah, well, it was like the middle of the night at this point.
It was, and so I was glad he was getting rest, and then my mom came and just kept me company while we watched live PD on TV.
Nice.
Shows.
I've heard about this.
I've talked about it. Kept me busy. And probably like 1 a.m, they had to empty my bladder, which actually helped me progress. I don't know what the term is that for that. But as really quickly, the nurse was checking things and was like, okay, it looks like this baby might be coming soon. I rested a little bit. And then at about 3 a.m, the nurse was like, yep, it looks like we can get ready to go here. They called the doctor in, who was actually the doctor who I had seen at my last checkup at May Grant. She was like, oh, I'm on duty Friday night. Maybe I'll deliver your baby. And she was. I forget her name though, but I'm seeing her on Thursday for my checkup. So literally 3 a.m, they woke up my husband and said the baby is coming. And 10 minutes later, I started to push, and she was born 17 minutes after that. So it was pretty quick once they decided I was ready to go. So she was born at 3:17 in the morning. My mom was there. We called my dad, and then my mom went home soon after that. And I don't think Robert or I fell asleep after that, but it's definitely the calm after a storm when you can just breathe and the baby's here, and they might have been checking up on Dorothie a little bit, but it was a great surreal experience to have a second baby. I don't know. It was awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's such a relief. All the pain. It's so true, and it sounds so cliche, but all the pain is suddenly worth it.
Yes.
You forget about the pain very quickly once the baby is in your arms.
When I was pushing, I actually did think why did we decide to do this again? But after she's born, you just have this incredible feeling of confidence. I just did this incredibly difficult thing. And it's amazing how your body just knows what to do. Even I know as a first time mom, I just thought what's that going to be like? And it's amazing how your body just does it.
Did you cry at all?
I did. I had the same ugly cry both times.
Yes, I think after each of my kids, when I finally, when they put them on my chest, I'm just oh,
yeah,
it's over. I did it. I'm just overwhelmed. The emotions are overwhelming to me.
It's the best overwhelmed feeling though
that
you could ever have. She was crying when they put her on my chest, and I had a little bit of stress, oh my gosh, I'm her mom and I don't know how to make her stop crying. But I mean, she was only 3 minutes old, so
it's all good.
We had time to figure that out.
And she's sleeping now, and you're doing a great job. Christine has been
is.
holding Dorothie because she was a little chatty at the beginning of this episode. We told her, "Girl, you just gotta chill."
I'm so warm. That's probably why I keep my air conditioning down, because when she is fussy and I have to hold her,
yes, so they do make you warm when you're holding them or fall asleep nursing them.
Yeah. She's so sweet. And so, it was just a nice, easy, I would say, quick labor. The day before was not so fun, but we got past it, and then they move you over to, is it called recovery? No. What's it called? Couplet care.
Couplet care, yes.
Yeah, so they moved us over there. We had a nice room, and I was feeling really good soon after. I remember visiting you, Rachel, I think the day you had Robbie. And you were on your feet, and I thought, how is she?
No, he was born at night, so it had to be the next morning.
Next day.
Yeah, but all of mine were born at night.
But you look so good. And
no, he wasn't. He was the only one that was born in the morning. This just happened 9 weeks ago, and I'm no. Yeah, I think you did come later in the day, and he was born at 11.
I can't remember what her birthday is. It's all good. But you just look so good when you're on your feet, and I was amazed by that. When I had Dorothie, I felt the same way. So I was maybe you just feel, I don't know, not better your second time or third time around, but your body just kind of bounces back a little bit better.
There's something about it. Or maybe it's just that mom instinct because you have other children to care for.
I need to get out of bed right now. But again, that just fascinated me, the way that my body started to recover and feel better, and not being pregnant, not having to go to the bathroom all the time was quite a relief. So I enjoyed that recovery phase.
There are a handful of those symptoms that are so miserable during pregnancy, and it's literally the people that have morning sickness up until the 9th month. I was still taking that diclofenac medicine with both of my girls until I was almost ready to give birth. And the day after, it's gone.
It's wonderful.
It's the quickest relief of so many things.
Yes. It's time for our review of the week. SCJ Mama said, "So glad I was introduced to this show. They are fun and relative to all us mamas. Thank you, ladies, for showing up for yourselves and for all of us." Thank you for that review, and we want to say thank you to all of our listeners who comment and post about what we share. We love our community and can't wait to hear your comments each week. Yeah, God's amazing how he designed all of that to be.
Yeah, to just work. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were in the hospital, and I would say my favorite moment being in couple of care those 2 days was when Nora got to come and meet Dorothie. My parents brought her, I forget, probably the first day we were there, but I don't know. And she walks into the room and was like a little hesitant. Robert picked her up, and we had been telling her when I was still pregnant that the baby's name was Dorothie, so she could say that name.
Aww.
And so when we were telling her that this is Dorothie, I think it seemed familiar to her. And when Robert kind of leaned her down to give her a kiss, at first she was a little bit scared, but then he did it again, and she was all about it and like wanted to touch her.
So cute.
Yeah, she so quickly just fell into that big sister role of like, this is my baby. And then whenever she came to visit, she wanted to hold her. And I feel like once she came and met Dorothie, Nora just became like a little bit more vibrant. Like she opened up, and even with the nurses and people she didn't know, she was a little bit more talkative, which she doesn't usually do. So it was just cool to see her. She just seemed more grown up. I don't know.
Yeah,
it was really
step
sweet.
into that big sister role, like instinctively.
I loved it. And you got to see that twice. I can't imagine. That's so cool. And she's since been very excited about her sister. She still wants to hold her, and then quickly says, all done. So she like gets her fill, and then she's good.
I'm good.
Which is, I think, a good amount of infatuation, like just enough, still safe. Like she doesn't want to attack her or sit on her. I know you said your girls sometimes are like on him.
They're like too much. Sometimes I'm like, back away from the baby. Do not try picking up the baby on your own.
Yeah.
Do not try like lifting him out of his swing on your own.
Nora doesn't do that. She'll try to help like burp her if I'm holding her. And then I watched her too on the baby monitor. If she's like waking up for a nap and she has her dolls, she'll be patting them on the back or like putting a blanket on them. So I think she's definitely like picking up on what I'm doing. I'm just waiting for her to start like nursing one of her dolls. She has not done that yet, but
Reagan did that when Rowan was a baby. She was like 18 months and like thought it was great to like lift up her shirt and hold up her baby. Rowan has never done that, which is funny.
Because she's more into dolls, right?
Yeah, she is, but she's never like pretended to nurse them. But Rowan's just all over the place. She last night got in trouble because poor Robbie is like laying on his back on his blanket and just has like a little onesie on.
Yeah.
And I look over, and because Reagan's like, Mom, Reagan's a good tattler. Like sometimes it's annoying, but usually I'm like, thank you for telling me. Because poor Robbie, Rowan was going like this, like pounding on his belly, pretending she was saying belly bongos.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know how this all started. I think one day when we were in the shower, like somehow between like washing them and just being silly, I was like, move over here. I was like, I think I said the word booty bongos. I thought it, like they thought it was funny. They were like spanking each other or something silly just in play.
Okay.
And so now they do this to each other, and she was doing it on his belly, just like belly bongos. And I'm like, that's not okay. Why did I start this?
One little moment has spiraled.
Yes, this is not how I intended it. And so, yeah, she is quite a handful, but she's
love
also,
him.
she does. And she's very protective because we were just on vacation with our family. And so the whole week, like, you know, cousins wanted to hold him and things like that. And she didn't care so much about the bigger kids, but Penny is like the one she can boss around because she's like 3 months younger than her.
Yeah.
They do seem like the age difference is a little more, just because Rowan's really independent and Penny is the youngest of 4. She's the only girl. They're all boys. So I feel like Penny, she gets babied a little bit. Emily, if you're listening, you baby her. And that's okay.
Yeah.
But
it's like natural if that's your 4th.
Oh, yeah. But anytime Penny would come close to him, Rowan would be like, that's my brother. That's my baby brother.
Aww.
And she was very possessive.
Nora does that sometimes at daycare when I go pick her up and I have Dorothie with me. If the other kids come over, she doesn't push them away or say anything, but she definitely looks like she becomes more possessive. Like Dorothie is her sister.
Yeah.
She'll say like, Dorothie down. She wants me to put her down so she can look at her. Oh, of course. She wants
Poor
to be
girl.
held.
She hears us talking about her.
Yeah. Yeah, so that is how life is with 2 babies.
How has it been with juggling things? I love.
Okay.
Can you share a little bit about how Nora goes to daycare over the summer for other moms?
Yes.
Like, that might be debating.
Well, we love where she goes to daycare, and we knew that we were going to keep her 5 days a week, like up until when the school year would have ended, because that's just what we would have done had we not had a baby. And that was great in the beginning because Robert and I got to spend that time, just the 3 of us, and we like went and did an errand, or we would go get lunch, or whatever we needed to do, and had Dorothie with us. But we knew Nora was taken care of and had her normal routine at school, and so we were really thankful for that. But now that summer is here, we've reduced the days she goes, but she still is there. It obviously will keep her spot for when I go back to work. But I just love the fact that she is there with her friends, and they do so much with her. Like art, and they have splash day, and so they're in the water, and they have the playground, and obviously naps, and they read together. And it takes, obviously it's easier because I only have Dorothie at home, but it takes a lot of the guilt that I feel from not being able to do all of those things with Nora all the time, because I know she's being so engaged at daycare. Because when she comes home, or when it is just the 2 girls and I feel really bad when I can't be like, I don't know, super mom, and I can't do all the things with her because I know she's getting it part of the week. And so it's just been a really good decision for our family. Obviously, it is a financial commitment, but it's something that we really benefit from. We appreciate it, and we know that in the long term, it's worth it. She knows how to count, kind of.
That's amazing.
I mean, she doesn't really understand it, but if we say 1, 2, she can say 3, 4, and 5.
That's awesome.
Oh my gosh.
That's
I know.
something. That's like, oh my gosh. That's so good.
So it's been a really good decision for our family. I know everyone makes their own choices and what's best for them. And something I'm learning is that I'm definitely not that like stay at home all the time mom kind of person. Like I like being able to go out and do things or have work to do and all the different projects I'm involved with. And so even having daycare as a part of our routine is also really helpful so that I can do those things that mean a lot to me.
Yeah, that's so good. I was going to say, like, there's no way, I don't know how people do all those things.
Right.
If they don't have, childcare or help or something, just because, whether you're working or just volunteering with a bunch of things, you need time to be able to get out and,
So to know we have
nice.
that.
That's really nice to have that. And it's nice because it's close by, too. It's right down your road.
It's great.
So it's really convenient. And, I love it because then we can record the podcast here.
So, even having that, like, set so I know that I can go get lunch with a friend or do the podcast or go visit my husband at work or something like that, it helps. And then on the days that Nora is home, we can either just hang out at home or I can try to venture out somewhere with both babies.
It's nice, too, though, when you take her. I'd say one of the pluses of daycare is that you can take your kid there and still, if you need to spend time at home, you can spend time at home. The downside of having someone come to your house, like I love that my mom comes to my house because it makes my life easier. I don't have to take my kids anywhere and I run late. So that's a big perk for me because if I have to be somewhere, it'd be, depending on where I have to be, it would be tough to like take them to my mom's and then get going or whatever. But also if I do have a day where I'm like, oh, I just feel kind of lousy. I wish I could work, but work from home. I can't because my mom and the kids are there. And like I could go hide in the basement or something or just stay in my room. But I don't have like a home office. And for us, there's pros and cons to each situation. But I feel like for other mamas who might need to hold your kid's spot in daycare or something, don't feel guilty about keeping them in a few days over the summer. It's not a whole lot different than if you had bigger kids and put them in a camp or something.
Right. Yeah, that's the way we look at it. And my husband reminds me that it's not forever when I do feel guilty about it, that it costs money or if we're sacrificing in other areas. But we know it's worth it for us. And like he says, it's not forever. So once they're in school, we'll get to have them involved in camps or other things in the summer. So that'll be fun too.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we got to like hear your story and just catch up. And it's so funny because it's been only a few weeks now, but it feels like, can you imagine life without her?
No, and it feels like she's just always been here. I know people say that. That's so cliche almost. But
it is the truth.
Yeah. She's just been such a good baby, and I'm really thankful. I'm thankful she's here. I'm thankful I'm not pregnant anymore because that was not my favorite thing, but it's all worth it. So we're really happy.
That's awesome. And all the milestones. Oh, milestones. We just got paperwork that like Rowan is like going to school this coming year.
Oh.
So we got 2 copies of everything because Reagan's been in preschool, and this year we're going to have Rowan start like a toddler program. And Reagan didn't do it. She only started as a 3-year-old, but
you're ready. Let's do it.
I'm ready. Yeah. I want them both out of the house one morning so that like I just have Robbie and like can get a few more things done because she's busy and she's 2, and I think it'll be good for her, like you said, to have that stimulation and the activities to do with kids her age. And
I feel like once you've done it the first time, like you had Reagan, you went through that big transition of having one of your kids in daycare now. Or not daycare, preschool. It'll probably be easier to transition now with Rowan.
But the only thing that's tricky is we were looking at the paperwork and I'm like, oh my gosh, we're officially in like, since our kids are close in age, like divide and conquer. Because they both have orientation like the same day and like meet
that's not like convenient.
I know, like meeting their teachers and stuff. It's like the same day, the same time. Because I think they just probably do that for all like the Tuesday, Thursday classes.
Right.
Or Wednesday, like Monday, Wednesday will be on a different day. So I'm sure we're probably not the only parents that are going to be doing it. In fact, Reagan had a classmate this year whose mom and dad are doing a similar thing next year since they have a little one also close in age. So I'm like, all right, Kyle, you have to get off work that morning because we have to decide who wants who, or swap halfway so we can both meet the teachers or something.
But it's just the beginning of that, like you said, because the girls are close in age.
It's going to be forever now. I'm like, I hope they don't do completely different activities because I don't want to have to pick like, you go to this game, I'll go to that game if they do sports or
They're probably
going
to get married the same summer. Just...
Oh my gosh, they can't. Financially, I'll be like, nope, you have to wait a year, you're younger.
But fun to be able to do it together and that they get to do it together too is sweet.
Yeah. And I'm so excited for you to start doing all those fun things too because
I mean, once Dorothie starts sleeping a little bit longer stretches, I'm going to feel ready to take on the world.
How many grades apart now will your girls be?
I think 2, because they're about 2 years apart. So, like if Dorothie was in kindergarten, I think Nora would be going into 2nd grade.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So they'll both be like a little bit younger for their grade.
They will be, which is another reason why I like daycare is because I know that Nora is being stimulated and like learning things, even like waiting in line at the door. Like she does that at daycare at 1.5. And so when she goes into school, those things aren't going to be as foreign to her. So hopefully that helps the transition because she's a July birthday. So I think we're going to have her on the younger side instead of waiting. But we'll see.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So many things.
Decisions.
So many things to decide as a parent.
Yeah.
Well, we just hope that whether you're expecting or you have little ones, maybe you were inspired today or laughed a little bit or just feel a little bit more positive. If your kids were grumpy and driving you crazy this morning, you're not alone because we have been there too and we're still popping them out. So there's something about these kids that... As much as they drive us crazy, I'm still like, maybe another one.
For her, me, I'm not so sure. But they do make life really sweet and enjoyable. But one thing Rachel and I have definitely seen in our journey is that having other moms around you is so, so beneficial to remind you that things are normal or things will change and get better because that's definitely something we all need to hear. So wherever you are in your journey, moms, we just want you to know that things will be good and you are doing amazing.
Thank you so much for listening today. You are a part of a growing community of moms, business owners, and women who are here to encourage and inspire. You can connect with Rachel at Rachel Klein Creative on Instagram or rachelkleincreative.com. To keep up with Christine and her latest events, follow her business journey on Instagram at Bellenberry Co. And if you want to be first to know about upcoming guests and giveaways, sign up for the Thrive Podcast email list today. Simply visit rachelkleincreative.com/The Thrive Podcast or follow at The Thrive Podcast on Instagram. If you've enjoyed listening this week or you've already added our show to your favorites playlist, we'd love for you to write us a review on iTunes. Your support and positive feedback allows us to keep encouraging moms and business owners each week.